In the name of the Imperium, by his divine will, there exist a chosen few who stand outside the law, yet are bound by duty more ancient than most planets. These individuals, bearing the title of rogue trader, operate with the authority of a forgotten age, one when humanity still dreamed of mastering the stars, not merely surviving among them. The Warrant of Trade is not a gift. It is a burden wrapped in privilege, a document older than most recorded histories. Each one is a relic in itself, scribed in High Gothic, sealed by ecclesiarchal blood sigils, and sanctified in rites that burn the names of the unworthy from the annals of imperial history. To receive a warrant is to be bound to an oath carved not in stone, but in starfire. Some warrants were issued during the Great Crusade, their parchment curled from age but never invalid. These are sacred relics, penned by the Primarchs or even the Emperor himself. Those who bear them walk as legends. No planetary governor may gainsay them. No admiral can command them. Their authority equals that of the Inquisition, the Adeptus Astartes, or the Adeptus Mechanicus, granted not to rule the Imperium, but to expand it. The bearer of such a warrant becomes a law unto themselves beyond imperial borders. They are free to travel outside the bounds of the Astronomicon, to chart unknown voids, to trade with alien empires, though such dealings would see any other executed for heresy. A rogue trader may engage with xenos, establish colonies, conduct diplomacy, even wage war, all in the name of the Emperor. Their power is immense, but it is not limitless. No warrant is granted lightly. Each carries specific mandates: recover lost technology, bring wayward human worlds back into the Imperial fold, chart warp routes through unclaimed space, and always, always expand the reach of mankind. The price of this freedom is service. The price of failure is death. There are those who believe a warrant is simply a charter of conquest. Fools. A warrant is also a yoke. The rogue trader is watched, not always directly, but watched nonetheless. Should they deviate too far from the Emperor's light, their very license becomes the instrument of their damnation. Every warrant is unique. Some grant dominion over vast fleets. Others tie the bearer to a specific task: to find a lost forge world, to locate a pre-imperial human empire, or to serve as envoy to a distant inquisitorial conclave. Many are hereditary, passed from parent to child, through blood, marriage, or trial by combat. A family line may wield a warrant for millennia, growing into a dynasty with a private navy and holdings that rival imperial sectors. There are famous examples. House Harlock, whose charter dates to before the founding of the Calixis sector. House Winterscale, whose warrant was won in battle rather than granted. House Drake, born from Terra's noble courts, fallen from grace, risen again on the edge of the void. Each house has its own version of the truth, but the warrant remains silent, unyielding. It does not forget, it does not forgive. It waits only to be obeyed. The Imperium calls rogue traders agents of expansion. But they are more than that. They are the Emperor's gamble. For every new world brought into compliance, 100 temptations rise. Alien riches, forbidden lore, technologies lost since the age of strife. Who watches the one granted leave to walk among such things? The answer lies in the weight of the warrant itself. It is the Emperor's test. Can a soul resist the hunger for glory? Can they wield this fire without being consumed? There are tales of those who failed, traders who sold relics to xenos markets, who allied with corsairs or consorted with demon cults. They were erased, their names stricken from all records, their ships turned to ash in silent battles never logged. The warrant giveth, the warrant taketh. But for every tale of failure, there are those of triumph. Traders who discovered entire lost human civilizations, who brought back standard template constructs from forgotten worlds, who mapped the warp currents around a newly born Eye of Terror and lived to tell of it. These names are remembered, their deeds sung in the void, for theirs is the light in darkness, the tip of the spear that pierces the unknown. There is no clear path to receiving a warrant. Some are granted as rewards for military brilliance, others as political maneuvering. Some are even issued as bribes to send a dangerous, ambitious figure far from Terra's core worlds. And yet those who receive them often do not see exile, but opportunity. With the warrant comes a vessel, sometimes ancient, barely held together by faith and steel, sometimes a marvel of naval engineering gifted by the Adeptus Mechanicus. These ships bear the trader's crest, their family sigil burned into bulkhead and banner. Their bridge crew are sworn in blood and right, their navigators trained to follow warp trails no sane mind should ever trace. There is an old Terran saying, whispered by voidfarers, "Where the warrant leads, the galaxy bleeds." This is not mere poetry, it is prophecy. For every trader's expedition changes the fate of the Imperium, some subtly through trade routes, knowledge, and alliance, others violently, with entire subsectors thrown into war, xenos empires shattered, and lost artifacts reclaimed. To be granted a warrant is not to receive freedom. It is to be given the hardest chain of all, responsibility without oversight, power without instruction, legacy without guidance. The rogue trader must walk where no one else dares, must judge when others hesitate, must choose in moments of impossible consequence, and above all, they must answer only to the Emperor, not to the High Lords, not to the Inquisition, not to the Adeptus Terra. Their oath is older, higher, harder. So when you hear the thunder of ancient engines crossing your sky and see a banner flying with a sigil you do not know, do not kneel in ignorance. Do not raise arms in defiance. You are in the presence of the Emperor's last explorers, the ones who carve his name into stars not yet named. And if they call upon you, you will answer, for their warrant is law, and their law is the Emperor's will. Every rogue trader begins their journey alone, but none remain so for long. From the moment a warrant of trade is granted, a line begins. A name is etched into the endless stone of imperial history, not just a name, but a legacy. This is how dynasties are born, in the void far from the shrines of Terra and the regimental strictures of the Guard. A rogue trader's blood becomes currency, their name a banner, and their descendants the inheritors of a throne that does not sit still, but sails the stars. These dynasties are not mere families. They are empires unto themselves, forged in the crucible of the unknown, hardened by trial, betrayal, and endless ambition. Their holdings can span systems. Their navies rival imperial battle groups. Their courts are populated by dueling nobles, assassins, diplomats, and gene-tailored monstrosities in the guise of bodyguards. To be born into a rogue trader family is to inherit a war against the galaxy itself, and to have the means to fight it. Consider House Harlock. The name still carries weight in darkened corridors and among the whisper vaults of the Calixis sector. Though much of its true history is lost or deliberately erased, what remains is terrifying in its grandeur. The Harlocks were not content with trade routes and artifact recovery. They hunted the hidden, waged shadow wars against alien pantheons, and sought truths that even the Ordo Malleus forbids spoken aloud. Their ships were said to be guided by star maps etched into the skin of blinded psychers, their holds filled with relics that murmured in sleep. And then there was Erasmus Harlock, the last true scion. When his wife and daughter were murdered by rivals within his own house, he did not mourn. He disappeared. And in the years that followed, one by one, the bloodlines responsible for the coup were annihilated. Whole ships vanished in the warp. Void stations were found emptied, their occupants dead by their own hands, eyes burned out, tongues bitten off. Erasmus had become something else. Less a man, more a legend. Some say he passed beyond the veil between realities. Others claim he still wanders the darkest reaches of the Halo stars, searching for a throne not meant for mortal flesh. House Harlock may be the most infamous, but they are not the only ones. There is House Winterscale, a name feared even within the corridors of Segmentum Obscurus. Caligos, Winterscale, its most ruthless scion, rose not through bloodline but by bloodshed. His ascension was swift and merciless. He slew every rival claimant to the warrant in a series of duels, sabotage plots, and orbital bombardments that left whole estates burning in vacuum. When the dust settled, he stood alone, warrant in hand and the Emperor's seal unbroken. Under his command, Winterscale's realm in the Coronis expanse became a fortress empire, its borders marked by bastions and war moons. Some say he rules as a petty king, far from the Imperium's gaze. Others claim he serves the Emperor more loyally than any High Lord, so long as it suits him. Other dynasties trade in subtlety rather than strength. House Vane, for instance, is known less for conquest and more for its labyrinthine networks of influence. Elucia Vane, its current matriarch, wields words as weapons and coin as chain. Her ships are sleek, silent, and swift, designed not to conquer but to arrive, deal, and vanish before anyone knows they were there. She is said to have purchased an entire planet's allegiance with a single conversation, her offers so compelling they border on witchcraft. Where Winterscale bludgeons, Vane whispers. Where Harlock haunted, Vane negotiates with demons and gets paid in pure void glass. And then there are the lesser-known houses, each with their own myths and obsessions. House Moros, a lineage so inbred and corrupted by warp exposure that its members wear golden masks to hide their malformed features and speak only in ancient High Gothic, even among each other. House Halbrecht, whose scions implant fragments of the Emperor's creed into their own brains, binding themselves to a doctrine more extreme than the ecclesiarchy can stomach. House Dorgana, which claims to have struck deals with the Eldar for safe passage through webway echoes, not the webway itself, but half-real shadows of it, navigated with machines that scream in binary pain. To those in the heart of the Imperium, dynasties like these seem little more than fables, stories whispered in the corners of Schola Progenium dormitories to frighten cadets. But in the void, they are very real, and they are sovereign. These families are not frozen in tradition. Each generation shapes the next. A rogue trader may sire 100 children across a dozen worlds, and from them choose a single heir. A daughter who survived the rites of void silence, or a son who returned from a demon-haunted planet bearing a scar that cannot be healed. In other cases, succession is not so clean. Assassination is a common inheritance rite. Poisoned communion chalices, sabotaged life support systems, psychic duels on starboard balconies. These are not crimes. They are family business. Sometimes the warrant itself is lost or stolen, and the family fractures into rival claimants. Wars have been fought not between systems, but within bloodlines. A brother against his sister, a mother against her genetically perfected clone. The warrant, after all, is the soul of the dynasty. To lose it is to be unmade. To reclaim it is to become a god. But dynasties are more than just names and ships. They are traditions, rites, heraldries, and oaths. The banners flown on a rogue trader's flagship are not mere decoration. They tell stories of victories won, horrors survived, debts still unpaid. A red diagonal slash may mean the trader once bartered with a Necron tomb world and escaped with his mind. A silver stripe edged in blue, that denotes a successful expedition into a previously unmapped warp corridor, navigated without loss. Every crest is a tapestry of survival. Every family motto a defiance against extinction. These dynasties maintain their own libraries, their own genetic archives, their own warp-touched vaults of prophecy and madness. Aboard their ships are chronologers who do not merely record history, they forecast it, using forbidden relics and ancient rites of data divination. One dynasty, House Arkenvale, is said to employ a choir of cloned psychers who dream in unison, their shared visions dictating the path of the family across centuries. Rogue trader dynasties are not bound by time in the way most imperial entities are. Some operate across generations as if playing an eternal game of regicide against the stars. A great-grandfather sets a colony in motion. The grandson harvests its wealth. The great-great-granddaughter returns to find it in ruins and makes war to reclaim it in her family's name. Time is just another warp current to ride. Even their alliances span centuries. A favor promised to an inquisitor in M38 may come due in M41, paid by a descendant who knows nothing of the original pact. Dynasties store their debts in memory holocrons and genetic memory vaults. Knowledge is passed down in blood, whispered into the ears of sleeping heirs by memory implanters, or bound into the very marrow by genetic branding. This is the power of a dynasty. It is not simply wealth or ships or even the warrant. It is continuity. It is the ability to defy oblivion, not by avoiding it, but by outlasting it. In the end, a rogue trader may die, but the dynasty endures. And when you look to the stars and see a silhouette of impossible scale moving across the firmament, when your Vox screens flicker with an old family crest, and your heart whispers a name you have never heard but somehow recognize, you will know the dynasty has returned, and it brings with it the future, or the end, or both. A rogue trader's dynasty begins with a name, a charter, and ambition unbound. But none of it would matter, none of it, without the ship. To hold a warrant of trade is to be the master of one's fate, yes. But the vessel is what carries that fate across the stars. It is more than a home. It is more than a weapon. It is a cathedral, a fortress, a tomb, and a legend, all welded together in void steel and sanctified hull plate. Every rogue trader ship is unique, not merely in design, but in soul. And they do have souls, not in the way a man does, with blood and fear and faith, but something older, colder, and more terrible. These ships remember. The decks know your footsteps, the engines know your pulse, the warp drives dream in their sleep. Some vessels are gifts bestowed with ceremony by the Adeptus Mechanicus at the granting of the warrant. Ancient cruisers from the early days of the Imperium, long entombed in Martian docks, reawakened with rites of re-sanctification, and crimson incense burned for a week straight. Others are seized by force, pried from pirate lords, or salvaged from battlefields where Imperial Navy wrecks drift like broken gods. Many have no known origin at all. There are tales, rarely told and never officially recorded, of ships found deep in the void, derelict yet intact. Hulls engraved with languages no savant can translate. Engines that run on matter that does not match any known elemental category. One such ship, the Whisper in the Flame, was found drifting just beyond the Ghoul stars. The crew who claimed it brought back no salvage, no maps, no trophies, only silence. Today, that ship serves as the flagship of House Morthanius. No one asks what fuels its drive core. No one wants to know. But not all rogue trader vessels are ancient beasts of unknowable design. Some are as grand as any Imperial warship, heavily modified for exploration, colonization, and defense. These are not ships that merely survive the void, they dominate it. Take the Emperor's Vow, pride of House Winterscale, a heavily armed grand cruiser that has not returned to dock in nearly 2 centuries. Its hull bristles with lance batteries, plasma projectors, and gravitic launchers imported from a Mechanicus Forge world that no longer exists. Its prows are carved into the shape of a roaring lion, each eye socket housing a macro cannon the size of a hap block. It does not visit, it arrives, like a storm front made manifest. Other ships are more subtle. House Vane's ossuary drift is slender and silent, a void-slick shadow equipped with hollow cloaks and adaptive camo plating, more ghost than vessel. It slips past picket lines, glides between xenos fleets, and appears in orbit without raising a single Auspex alarm. Some say it was once a dark Eldar slave barge, rebuilt and re-sanctified by Vane engineers. Whether that's true or not, its silence is unnerving. The only noise that follows its arrival is the sound of voxcasters crackling back to life with a polite single-tone chime. House Vane, requesting audience. Even the smallest ships in a rogue trader's fleet, escort corvettes, scout frigates, shuttles, are not mere auxiliaries. They are extensions of the dynasty's will. A recon cutter from House Malbrex once mapped a warp rift in real time using a combination of servitor cogitators and mind-linked navigators bred for the sole purpose of predicting gravitational fluctuation. The ship was consumed in the attempt, but the data it transmitted founded 2 colony worlds and rerouted 3 trade convoys, preventing the deaths of millions. Some vessels are architectural marvels. Within the Ebon Vault of House Dorgana, entire forests thrive in pressurized biodomes supplied by a modified life support system originally built to terraform planets. The ship is a wandering Eden, bearing a microcosm of old Earth flora through the void. It serves as a mobile genetics bank, a diplomatic sanctuary, and, rumor has it, a vault for certain specimens of xenos origin that cannot be allowed to die or to breed. But the true heart of any rogue trader vessel is the bridge, not the command throne or the helm, but the layered sanctums around it. The navigator's dome, the vox cloisters, the cogitator galleries. Here, decisions are made that change sectors. Here, navigators peer into the screaming sea of the warp, their third eyes burning as they plot courses through madness. Here, astropaths bind their minds to the minds of others across light years, sending whispered secrets to Terra or receiving demands from the High Lords that may or may not be obeyed. In these sacred chambers, tradition is everything. A trader might sit on a throne passed down from 10 generations of ancestors, each line of inheritance carved into the arms in ancient script. The Vox officer may speak only in binaric High Gothic, taught from youth to recite prayer and tactical commands as one. The helmsman wears a hood sealed with incense burners, blind to the world, but guided by the ship's own machine spirit, an entity he believes he was born to serve. And what of the machine spirit? On Navy ships it is placated with rites and hymnals, kept docile with ritual maintenance. On a rogue trader's vessel it is a partner, a monster, a pet dragon. The bond is deeper, more personal. Captains have been known to speak aloud to their ships, whispering promises, threats, pleas for speed or stealth or mercy. Some claim the ship answers, others scoff, until the day a reactor refuses to start for anyone but the captain's bloodline, or a weapon system fires on its own, destroying an assassin that had crept too close. There are stories, always stories, of ship's corridors rearranging themselves in real time to trap intruders, of voices singing from the hull at warp translation, of crew members lost for weeks, only to emerge from forgotten decks claiming to have walked with their ancestors. The oldest ships are like haunted palaces. There are decks no one goes to, doors that remain sealed with no key, entire cargo bays sealed off with warning sigils, protected by ancient rites, their contents unknown. Ask a crewman what lies behind them and he'll shiver. He doesn't want to know. But the danger is part of the allure. A rogue trader's vessel is a reflection of its master, ambitious, dangerous, magnificent. It is also their lifeline. Every voyage through the warp tests its limits. Every landing on a new world tests its defenses. Every failed negotiation, every misread signal, every xenos ambush, it all falls upon the hull. When a rogue trader dies, sometimes the ship dies with them. It shudders, systems fail, warp coils destabilize. Other times, the ship resists, refusing to power down, keeping the captain's corpse preserved for days or weeks until a successor arrives. Some say the ship chooses the next captain. Others believe it's merely coincidence. But in this galaxy, there are no coincidences. Some ships are famous enough to have their own entries in forbidden codices. The Hand of Orpheus, missing for 4 centuries, last seen vanishing into the Eye of Terror. The Velveteen Widow, rumored to contain a vault of psi-active warpstone harvested from a dying craft world. The Gaunt Glare, whose hull is blacker than void and whose engine trails no heat. And there are countless others, old freighters turned into traveling fortresses, warships disguised as pilgrim vessels, pleasure barges built over Arc-Tech reactors. Each is a story waiting to unfold. In the end, for all their blood, wealth, and legend, the rogue trader has only one constant companion: the ship. It does not judge, it does not sleep, it does not love, but it carries them forward, into stars yet unlit, into wars yet unwaged, into destinies yet unnamed. And if it is loyal, if the captain is wise, if the machine spirit does not grow jealous, it will bring them home, or at least to glory. Out in the void, past the margins of imperial star charts and the light of the Astronomicon, there are places unspoken by the Adeptus Terra. Worlds not forgotten but never known. Systems without names. Galaxies without maps. Beyond the structured territories of Segmentum Command and beyond the reach of the God Emperor's rule, something stirs. And into this uncertainty stride the rogue traders, warranted to claim the unclaimed, to touch the untouchable, and to bring light or fire to the darkness. No one else may go where they go. No one else is trusted to. Or perhaps, more truthfully, no one else is allowed to return and speak of it. The duty of a rogue trader is to explore, to survey, to classify, to catalog, and sometimes to conquer. Yet exploration in the grim darkness of the far future is nothing like the romantic tales told in data peak dramas or administratum pamphlets meant to inspire colonists. It is a brutal, perilous, and often maddening odyssey. For every charted route, there are 10 warp rifts. For every habitable planet discovered, there are 100 dead rocks littered with bones, human, xenos, and worse. A rogue trader's discovery is not merely a location on a map. It is an event, an opportunity, a threat. When a new world is found, the trader must decide, does it serve the Imperium or the dynasty, or perhaps neither? Some planets are verdant and untouched, with rich atmospheres, potable water, and life forms docile enough to allow for colonization. These are the rarest, the most prized. The trader may declare a claim of founding and thus establish a new imperial colony, swearing its tithe to the administratum, its faith to the ecclesiarchy, and its loyalty to the emperor. Yet even this is not so simple. A single planet may hide ancient technology beneath its crust, or harbor a dormant psychic presence, or awaken, once touched by human hands, into something no one truly understands. Take the world of Asperia. It was discovered by Lord Captain Tyrell Fane, a third-generation rogue trader with an erratic reputation and a fleet prone to sudden, unauthorized engagements. Fane declared Asperia a crown jewel of the outer rimward marches, a paradise world, its gravity perfect, its climate mild, its skies clear. He established 3 colonies within a solar month. Yet, by the 3rd month, his Vox traffic ceased. Patrol ships sent to investigate reported nothing unusual until they too vanished. No one has returned from Asperia since. The system was quietly redacted from official records. But Fane's banner, they say, still flutters on the landing fields, untouched by time or storm. Then there are the hollow worlds, dead places, entire biospheres extinguished by unknown cataclysm or faded into entropy. Rogue traders sometimes find monolithic cities without a single soul. Oceans of rust, mountains carved into effigies of long-extinct gods. On one such planet, designated Viltis She, a trader discovered vast libraries of xenos knowledge engraved on crystalline slabs, each one humming with data when touched. The Mechanicus confiscated the entire trove. The trader was rewarded with a single mining license on a nearby asteroid. A month later, his vessel exploded while docked for refueling. No cause was found. It is whispered that Viltis G never existed. The risk of discovery is not limited to the dangers of the warp or natural hostility. Some worlds fight back, not with armies, but with atmosphere, with song, with memory. One tale speaks of Echo Reach, a world where the clouds carried voices, echoes of the dead, speaking in perfect mimicry of lost loved ones. Explorers went mad. The entire first landing party killed themselves after 3 days. The planet's surface remains unmapped. The rogue trader who found it now wanders the Coronis expanse in silence, his tongue cut out by his own hand. But not all worlds are hostile. Some are simply strange. In the Ecliptine Shroud, an unmapped cluster of starless systems, a rogue trader stumbled upon a rogue planet, a globe without a sun, drifting through space, yet teeming with bioluminescent life. The ecosystem thrived in total darkness, massive fungus towers, glowing insect swarms, and territorial creatures that hunted by echolocation. The trader, Lordess Seneca Heil, named the planet Umbravax, and within a year had turned it into a hub of genetic research and exotic narcotics trade. It lasted until the Adeptus Arbites launched a cleansing fleet. They accused her of trafficking unsanctioned xenos biology. She denied it. She also escaped with the research and 2 of the Arbites' ships. Her current whereabouts are unknown. Umbravax is now listed as quarantined, but reports of flickering lights in the void persist. Then there are the lost human worlds, perhaps the strangest of all. Across the galaxy, scattered like broken teeth, are planets colonized long before the age of the Imperium. Isolated by warp storms or forgotten by the Emperor's reach, these colonies evolved in ignorance. Some retained fragments of the cult Mechanicus, building half-functional machine gods from tractor engines and war relics. Others became tribal, speaking corrupted forms of High Gothic and worshipping images of ancient Terran explorers as deities. One such world, Farallin Delta, believed the Imperium to be a myth, a bedtime story used to frighten children into obeying their elders. When a rogue trader landed there under the light of a burning atmosphere, the locals fell to their knees in worship. The trader was crowned emperor in the span of a day. Whether he corrected their mistake is unknown. What is known is that within 5 years, Farallin Delta was fully integrated into imperial trade routes, its people paying tithe in spice and minerals, and singing songs to their Sky Father every solstice. For the rogue trader, each new planet offers a dozen choices. Should it be exploited, defended, converted, erased? Sometimes the answer is made for them. There are records of entire planets scoured by exterminatus after being deemed too tainted by psychic resonance or xenos infiltration. In at least one case, the Ordo Malleus ordered a rogue trader to destroy a planet he had just established a colony upon. He refused. Within a week, his ship was atomized in orbit. The world was cleansed. Nothing remains but dust, and yet, for all the dangers, the rewards are staggering. A world rich in promethium or plasmaite can fund a dynasty for generations. A planet with intact pre-imperial vaults could contain lost standard template constructs, priceless to the mechanicus, deadly to those who misuse them. Even a barren world, properly claimed, can become a listening post, a trade hub, or a base of operations for crusades yet to be dreamed. There are worlds still to be found, some hidden by warp anomalies, others behind false starfields or time-locked bubbles. Entire sectors lie dormant, waiting for the right path through the Imperium to reveal them. Rogue traders speak of the Veiled Archipelago, a cluster of paradisiacal worlds glimpsed only once every 7 standard years through a temporary breach in the warp. Or the Wound That Whispers, a system where the stars pulse with intelligible language, guiding only the worthy to its heart. Whether these tales are truth or void-laced fever dreams, none can say. But the fact remains, the unknown is out there, and the Emperor has charged his chosen few with finding it. The Imperium is a beast of tradition and stasis, but the rogue trader is its wandering eye, forever seeking, forever risking. In the end, a planet is not merely discovered, it is judged by the one who dares to land first. So when the heavens split open and a ship descends with banners trailing fire, when its engines scream and the vox chant declares a name no one has heard in centuries, the people of a forgotten world may look to the skies and wonder, is this salvation or conquest? Only the trader knows, and they are not telling. The Warrant of Trade permits many things that would earn another a slow death on an inquisitor's slab. Among these liberties, none is more dangerous, more heretical, more tantalizing than the right to treat with xenos. For the ordinary citizen of the Imperium, the word alien means only death. The Mechanicus calls them abominations. The ecclesiarchy brands them as soulless devils. Even the most battle-hardened Astra Militarum officer is trained to fear and hate them from the moment he can shoulder a lasgun. But the rogue trader may parley. By sacred decree, a trader is allowed, expected even, to engage with alien species, to trade with them, fight them, deceive them, and sometimes even ally with them. Not out of compassion, not from some deluded sense of equality. Number it is because the Emperor's reach must extend farther than hatred can walk. It is because the stars are infinite and human lives are not. And so the rogue trader walks where the rest of the Imperium cannot. Some see it as blasphemy, others as pragmatism. The trader sees it as survival and profit. The first thing one learns beyond Imperial borders is that xenos are not merely the other. They are complex, ancient, and unknowable, and yet they bleed, they bargain, they war, some even pray. The galaxy teems with them, and every rogue trader worth their hull knows the names. The Eldar, graceful, cruel, and older than humanity's first footstep beyond Terra. They do not deal in trust. Their words are riddles wrapped in prophecy, their moods shifting like warp currents. And yet, they are not beyond diplomacy. A trader once bartered with a delegation from Craftworld Kalor for access to a sealed webway gate hidden beneath the Death World's crust. In exchange, he delivered to them a stasis vault containing a pre-fall artifact, a mirror of impossible craftsmanship that screamed when touched. He did not ask what it was. He was wise not to. There are stories of traders who have walked the corridors of craft worlds, blindfolded and escorted by farseers, speaking in double meanings and ceremonial riddles. The Eldar have no love for humanity, but they sometimes respect power, especially when cloaked in boldness. And then there are the Dark Eldar, the Drukhari. There is no peace to be had with them, no treaty that endures. But even they can be entertained. Rogue traders have been known to sell prisoners to the arenas of Kamara in exchange for safe passage through webway breaches or the return of captured crew. A high price, a higher risk. Some traders never returned, taken as sport themselves. But those who did, those who walked out of the City of Sins intact, were changed. They say you can smell Komarog on them forever after. Sweet, metallic, rotten. Orcs, on the other hand, are a simpler matter. If they're not fighting you, they're fighting someone else. And if you're clever, you can make that work. One trader, Captain Zax Holdren of House Ulvar, once armed an entire freebooter clan with surplus lasguns just to incite them into attacking a Tau outpost he couldn't reach himself. The plan worked. The orcs smashed the colony to dust and looted everything that wasn't bolted down. Zax arrived 3 days later, cut a deal with the orc war boss, and walked away with half the spoils, plus a particularly large greenskin who swore loyalty after being impressed by the trader's hat. That orc, dubbed Captain Daka, served on Holdren's crew for 6 standard years before the Inquisition got wind of it. Holdren claimed ignorance. He just kept fixing things, he said. The orc was incinerated. Holdren was fined. His hat was returned. But not all xenos are as brutish as the orcs. Some are far more insidious. The Tau represent perhaps the most troubling species a rogue trader can encounter, not because of their strength, but because of their ideals. They are naive in their way, yet dangerously persuasive. They speak of unity, of progress, of the greater good. Many a rogue trader has sat at their negotiation tables, listening to diplomats in pristine uniforms, sipping strange vine wine while being offered mutually beneficial trade accords. Some have walked away richer. Some have walked away changed. A few never walked away at all. The Inquisition keeps a watchful eye on any trader who engages the Tau. One too many deals, one too many diplomatic missions, and a rogue trader may find themselves under observation. And when the Ordo Xenos observes you, it is not from afar. Then there are the whispers of the Necrons. Most traders have never seen one and lived. Their worlds are tombs, silent, empty, ancient, and then, suddenly, not. One such world, designated Echo Prime, was charted by rogue trader Celeste Morn. She landed with a full exploratory team and began establishing a forward base. For 3 days, nothing happened. On the 4th, the sky cracked with emerald lightning, and structures that had lain dormant for 10 million years began to rise from the ground like titanic insects from a cocoon. Morn didn't run. She broadcast a hail. To her astonishment, it was answered. The conversation was recorded. Just 10 minutes of metallic measured words, some in Gothic, others in a tongue unknown. Then silence. She departed the planet unharmed, leaving half her supplies behind. What she agreed to that day remains classified, but her dynasty now controls 3 adjacent systems free from warp interference. The Mechanicus has tried to take them. They have failed. And what of the Tyranids? There is no dealing with them. No parley. No voice to answer. The only interaction a rogue trader may have with the hive mind is in the form of death. Yet, even here, traders have found opportunity. Scavenging the ruins left in the wake of a Tyranid incursion is among the most perilous yet profitable undertakings in the galaxy. Biotech samples, data cores, shattered ship fragments, and Even rare void organisms mutated by proximity to tyrannid synapse fields. These things fetch unimaginable prices in the black markets of Scintilla, Necromunda, or even Terra itself. But those who tarry too long in the wake of the hive rarely return unchanged. The warp is not the only thing that leaves scars. There are species unrecorded, empires that exist beyond the known, creatures that drift in the void and speak in radiation, beings that live in the corona of stars. Traders encounter them not in battle, but in accidents of fate, stumbled upon in the depths of black space. Some are simply catalogued, others are locked away, studied, feared, and sometimes one speaks back. There is a legend, unconfirmed but persistent, of a rogue trader who made contact with a species from beyond the galactic rim. It was not hostile, it did not attack. It simply asked one question over and over. Why are you alone? The trader who recorded the encounter vanished 2 weeks later. His ship was found adrift. No crew, no damage, just a single word carved into the command throne in jagged low Gothic. Listening, a warning, or a promise. Every xenos encounter is a gamble, a test not only of survival, but of judgment. The trader must weigh opportunity against damnation and gain against guilt. The right deal may make a dynasty, the wrong one may curse it for eternity. But the rogue trader presses on, through every contact, every war, every betrayal and uneasy alliance. Because in the void, it is not hatred that keeps you alive, it is understanding, just enough to know when to speak and when to shoot. There is a myth whispered among void-born crew, the kind of tale passed from lips to ears during long warp jumps, when the Geller fields hum too loud and the stars seem to listen. It speaks of a rogue trader, old and iron-hearted, who once dared to refuse an inquisitor passage aboard his ship. The story always ends the same, not with a battle, not with execution, but with the trader's name struck from every Imperial record, his vessel seen drifting near the Eye of Terror, crewed by ghosts and remembered only in dread. Because while a warrant of trade grants freedom, even that freedom has shadows, and those shadows have names. The Imperium does not forget its explorers. It watches them, quietly, closely, through ancient eyes and chrome-coated hands, through the twin authorities of dread and data, the Inquisition, the Adeptus Mechanicus. They are not allies, they are not enemies, they are two pillars of imperial truth, and a rogue trader who forgets their weight finds their star falling faster than the warp can swallow a scream. Let us speak first of the Inquisition. To the average Imperial citizen, the Inquisition is a rumor, a nightmare made flesh. They are the Emperor's holy judges, cloaked in mystery, feared by all. To the rogue trader, they are something more intimate, sometimes a partner, sometimes a leash, often a test. An Inquisitor may not command a rogue trader, but they do not have to. All they must do is suspect. When a warrant is granted, it is not just an oath to explore, it is an obligation. Traders are expected to uncover threats before they metastasize, to root out heresy where administratum scribes dare not tread. The Inquisition views them with a mixture of opportunity and revulsion. A necessary heresy, a useful sin. There are dynasties that have served the Ordo Malleus for generations, ferrying black ships through warp storms, delivering demon hosts to locked stasis vaults, or retrieving forbidden relics from fallen sectors. Their ships smell of sanctified oils and carry inquisitorial wards alongside house crests. They are praised in the annals of the Inquisition, so long as they remain useful. Others are less favored. A rogue trader who lingers too long in the service of xenos diplomacy, or whose vaults contain just one artifact too many with strange geometries or colors that should not exist. might find a black ship waiting at their next docking port. No charges, no words, just the emptiness of an erased name. Some traders try to play the game. They court inquisitors as allies, offering favors, intelligence, even safe passage through hostile space. These alliances are powerful but fragile. A single misstep, one whisper of disloyalty, one unauthorized deal, and the alliance becomes a manacle. There was a trader once, Rebane Cors, House Core Alarum. Brilliant, charismatic, useful. He ran operations for 3 Ordo Xenos agents, locating an ancient Necron site and helping to cleanse a Tau-aligned human colony in the Ultima Segmentum. Then he went one step too far. He opened the vault. No one knows what was inside. Only that, after the signal went dead, the Inquisition sent a fleet. There were no survivors. Now, the Mechanicus. The red-robed priests of Mars are a different kind of shadow. They do not wield terror. They wield knowledge, and they do not watch from afar. They are already aboard. Every rogue trader's vessel has them. The tech priests, the engine seers, the whispering cohorts of electro-chanting cyber monks who commune with the machine spirits and coax the warp drive into obedience. They are not passengers. They are not guests. They are the keepers of the vessel's soul, and they are always listening. The Mechanicus has long used rogue traders as their blades and beacons, sending them to chart lost forge worlds, recover sacred STC fragments, or establish contact with Mechanicum enclaves that fell silent during the Age of Strife. In exchange, they grant repairs, upgrades, sometimes even new ships, but always with a price. Tech granted is never free. For every improved plasma conduit or warp scrubbing protocol, a trader sacrifices a little more independence. Systems no longer obey the captain alone. Certain decks become Mechanicus only. Whole segments of the ship will begin to echo with Binharic codes no one else understands. Eventually, the ship stops being yours. It becomes a shrine that allows you to command it. For now, some traders resist. They hire independent tech clades, often sanctioned outlaws, to maintain their systems without Martian oversight. These traders fly ghost ships, retrofitted with alien cores, jury-rigged reactors, and interfaces that scream when touched. They are feared by the Mechanicus, but also hunted. One such vessel, the Brazen Ark, vanished in the Ghoul Stars. Its last broadcast was not a mayday. It was a laugh. Not all interactions with the Mechanicus are so dire. There are those who forge lasting partnerships, trade magi and rogue traders pooling knowledge and resources, journeying together to uncover ancient constructs or shielded archives. House Draxion once collaborated with a radical Magos Biologis to grow a bioship partially integrated with a standard Imperial cruiser. It pulsed with muscle. It drank hydrogen from gas giants. It breathed. It lived for 13 years. Then it devoured its crew. The Mechanicus denied involvement. House Draxion was absorbed by House Winterscale 3 decades later. At times, a rogue trader serves as the perfect tool of Imperial politics. The Inquisition wants a heretic cult investigated without drawing attention. Send the trader. The Mechanicus wants an alien artifact retrieved from hostile space without risk to their own ships. Send the trader. Need a deniable asset, a plausible scapegoat. You know who to send. But it's not all manipulation and doom. Rogue traders who master the shadows gain power few can dream of. The backing of an Ordo can open doors sealed for millennia, access to forbidden vaults, protection against censure, weapons never spoken of in the Munitorum. A single nod from an Inquisitor can silence entire system governors. A Mechanicus writ of trust can bypass void customs and lock Imperial Navy warships out of your flight path. But these blessings are earned through blood, fire, and precision. You must know when to serve, when to resist, when to vanish. Above all, you must never forget, you are being watched. There are those who make a game of it. One trader, Severina Thorn of the Crimson Dynasty, became a favorite of a certain Ordo Hereticus Inquisitor. They played cat and mouse across the Gothic sector, each pretending not to know the other's secrets. He needed her to go places his badge could not. She needed his badge when hers became inconvenient. For 10 years they danced, then she disappeared. He still looks for her. The Inquisition wants obedience, the Mechanicus wants secrets, and the rogue trader? They want the stars. But in this eternal triangle, each believes themselves the master. Only time and silence tells who is right. So the next time a rogue trader bows before a red-robed magos or clinks goblets with a pale-eyed inquisitor, understand what lies beneath the ceremony. Not friendship, not trust, only calculation. The kind that determines whether you become a name carved into the stars or into a grave no one will ever find. The Warrant of Trade is a holy relic, a golden leash woven from the Emperor's own authority, but it is still a leash, and some, given too much slack, forget they are meant to be tethered at all. It begins small, it always does. A trader delays their return from a sanctioned voyage. A data cog suddenly fails to file reports with the segmentum authorities. A navigator's final astropathic missive ends not in coordinates, but a riddle. Then nothing. Silence. Drift. And out there in the void, where imperial law is only a memory and warp light sings promises no sane man would heed, a rogue trader makes a choice. They decide they no longer serve the Imperium. History, when permitted to record such things, calls them renegades. Traitors. Fallen scions. But among the void-faring, they are given another name. Heretics of the Warrant. The irony is thick. These are not the rebels born in the gutter, nor cultists raised in the shadow of forgotten gods. These are the ones who began with the Emperor's blessing, etched into platinum and bone. They were chosen, elevated, honored, and still, they turned. The reasons vary. Sometimes it is grief, sometimes madness. More often it is simply the seduction of power without limit. Consider Jan van Jastobal. Once he was a man of renown, a battle-hardened commander who rose from the dust of the Plague Wars against the apostate Cardinal Bucharest. For his heroism, he was granted a warrant of trade, a noble reward, a new beginning. He used it to plunder, not in the casual, expected way of rogue traders skimming from salvage or brokering shady deals. Jastobal burned entire xenos worlds to ash, then turned his guns inward. He sacked outpost colonies too remote to call for help. He enslaved populations of lost human worlds, selling them to the highest bidder, sometimes xenos. His fleet grew, his hold over minor systems became absolute, and still the Imperium did nothing. For a time, at least, because a warrant protects, a warrant shields, but only so far. Eventually, the Inquisition came, not in a fleet, not with banners, with whispers, with poison, with assassins wearing his officers' faces. When Jastobal vanished, his flagship drifted into a dying star, Vox systems endlessly replaying his voice in a broken loop. They forgot what they made me. I will remind them. Others fall more quietly. Take the fate of House Malchus. Once noble, their ships bore relief supplies to war zones and guided lost void stations back into Imperial compliance. But wealth breeds secrecy, and in time, whispers began to circulate. Malchus ships were ferrying cargo that did not match their manifests. Crews disappeared. Tech priests assigned to monitor engine rights were rotated without explanation. Then came the sightings, faint warp echoes of a ship matching the profile of the Saint's Bargain, Malchus's flagship, seen operating near a known demon world. the family denied everything. Until the Saint's Bargain reappeared, its hull blackened, its augur arrays twisted into sacrilegious symbols. The crew no longer responded to Imperial hails. Instead, they chanted, a single phrase repeated again and again. He came to bargain, and he answered. It took a joint strike force of the Ordo Malleus and 3 Adeptus Astartes strike cruisers to bring it down. No bodies were found aboard, only a throne, empty, smiling. Sometimes the heresy is not chaos, not xenos, not open rebellion. Sometimes it's ambition. Lord Captain Andalon Velt claimed 17 new worlds in the Halo Fringe. He built cities, established cults of personality around himself. His image was worshipped, his laws were treated as scripture. He was not a heretic by word, nor by deed. He tithed, he reported, he served. But he also named his capital world Veltis. His face replaced the Aquila on every monument. His family line intermarried with planetary nobility, creating a new caste system where Terra was a footnote and his bloodline divine. The ecclesiarchy noticed. They didn't send a cardinal. They sent a crusade. When it was over, Veltis was a crater. The people converted, cleansed, or culled. And Andalon? No record remains. But in the black markets of Port Wander, one might still hear of a man bearing his likeness, captaining a nameless vessel, offering passage to places that don't appear on maps. Not all who fall do so out of selfishness, some believe. There is a strange category of heretic, rogue trader, the zealot, the prophet, the redeemer. One such man, Vile Keridan, vanished into the maelstrom with a fleet of 6 ships, declaring he had heard the true voice of the Emperor in the psychic winds of the warp. He broadcast sermons filled with cryptic parables, referencing an inner throne and the fire that waits. Taradan began founding shrine worlds, not sanctioned by the ecclesiarchy, not compliant with the Imperium. His temples featured no imperial iconography. His priests wore no aquila, but they wielded fire and belief and power. Within a decade, 6 minor sectors were under his sway, and then he disappeared. Some say he ascended, others say the warp swallowed him. But more disturbing are the reports of his followers. They persist, hidden, burning, still waiting for his return. So what is to be done with heretical rogue traders? The Inquisition acts, yes, but it is not so easy to kill what lives beyond the map. A trader who goes rogue becomes a moving plague, a seed of instability. They can corrupt, inspire, destabilize entire regions of space with words alone, and when they fall to chaos, when they give themselves over to the gods of the warp, they do so not as supplicants, but as equals. For who better to spread the rot of ambition than one who once held the Emperor's favor? The irony is bitter. The very traits that make a rogue trader valuable, independence, charisma, daring, resourcefulness, are the same that can make them monstrous. And for every Yastabal and Saradan, there are others. Lesser names. Ghosts. Traders who disappeared into the expanse and were never seen again, yet whose sigils still appear in forbidden archives. Whose ships are still glimpsed at the edge of long-lost systems. Some become pirate kings, others cult leaders. Some simply vanish. But all of them, every heretic rogue trader, serve as a warning. The warrant is not infallible. It is a contract, a pact, and pacts can be broken. The High Lords issue new warrants carefully now. Some say too carefully. Fewer traders rise than ever before. Fewer risks are taken. Some in the Navy whisper it is fear, that the Imperium no longer trusts its own champions, that the age of bold expansion has given way to nervous retrenchment. Perhaps they are right. But still the ships depart, still the banners fly, and still the dreams of empire lure those brave or foolish enough to chase them. For out there, past the veil of sanctioned space, the heretics wait. Some in madness, some in fire, and some simply watching, waiting for the next trader to slip. There are tales that pass from void ship to void ship, like heirlooms, retold by grizzled captains and stammering deckhands, shared in hushed tones beneath failing lumen strips, or whispered over ration grog while the Geller field screams. Tales of the ones who went farther, deeper, and longer than anyone else. The ones who carved their names into the stars, not with conquest or heresy, but with sheer, unrelenting discovery. In the Imperium, history is often a list of battles, massacres, and saints. But the rogue traders, when they are remembered differently. They are remembered as explorers, visionaries, madmen, and sometimes as gods. Let the records of the administratum drone on about tithes and protocols. Let the ecclesiarchy preach of martyrdom and penance. The legends that matter, the ones that ripple across the warp like echoes of thunder, belong to those who brought the unknown into the light, or died trying. There is no greater example than the name Janus Drake, a scion of noble Terran lineage, disgraced in the courts of High Terra and exiled with a warrant meant to banish rather than empower. Drake could have faded, could have lived out his days scavenging forgotten roots and trading in mundane commodities, slowly rebuilding a shattered reputation. Instead, he chose madness. He went after the Blackstone Fortress, a myth among myths, a structure so ancient, so vast, and so impossibly alien that even the Adeptus Mechanicus dare not catalog it fully. It appeared without warning in the galactic west, drifting in and out of warp space like a fever dream. Some said it was a weapon, others a derelict empire. Most simply said it was death. Drake did not flinch. He assembled a crew of outcasts, an Imperial missionary with a torch where her mercy should be, a Kroot mercenary bound by blood oath, a sanctioned psyker who never once blinked, and he set course for the fortress. He returned, not with treasure, not with armies, with knowledge. He mapped corridors that shifted while watched. He documented gravity wells that bent time. He fought nameless horrors in zero atmosphere and bartered for passage from beings that were not alive in any way humanity understands. He returned changed, thinner, colder. But he lived, and his name now echoes on the lips of those who dream of finding the impossible. Yet Drake is not alone. Far from it. Consider the saga of Elim Varex, called the Cartograph. No wars bear his name, no planets worship his bloodline, but his stellar charts have saved more Imperial lives than 10 crusades combined. Varex journeyed to the fringe systems of the Veiled region, where warp storms had raged for thousands of years, isolating entire sectors. He found a way through. 3 warp routes, stable, repeatable, navigable. The Adeptus Astra Telepathica attempted to seize his ship to extract the routes from his navigator's mind. The ship exploded in dry dock 3 days later. The navigator vanished. The routes, however, were copied. Today, a dozen systems thrive in trade thanks to Varex's gamble. He died in obscurity, but every portmaster in the fringe knows the cartograph's name. Then there is the Worm Path, an unnatural curve through the Segmentum Pacificus, believed to pass through what is technically classified as non-space. It is not a warp route, not truly. Ships that traverse it are not recorded as entering or exiting the Immaterium. Time behaves oddly. The stars around it pulse with wrong light. The path's existence was discovered by accident, by a rogue trader named Caladra Zorn. Her logs are fragmentary. What little survives is enough to induce vertigo in seasoned navigators. Light bent, one entry reads, not toward us, not away, toward itself. What did Zorn find? That depends on who you ask. The mechanicists say she uncovered pre-imperial archaeotech of unimaginable power. The ecclesiarchy whispers that she glimpsed the bones of a dead god. Others say she reached a pocket of real space sealed since the old night and found a human civilization untouched by the Imperium, advanced, pure, unbroken. Zorn's ship returned on autopilot. Her crew were gone. Only a single message was left, transmitted once across a dozen sectors. We are not the first. Her fate remains unknown. Legends of exploration do not always end in cryptic riddles. Some end in triumph. House Sarek's rogue line captain, Titus Vaughn, once discovered an entire orbital ring structure orbiting a dead star. A ring world, vast, beautiful, impossibly old. Its surface held the remnants of 10,000 cities, all empty, all silent. His team walked across continents of glass and silver. They found relics that whispered in dreams, plants that grew in geometric perfection, and a vault. Vaughn never opened the vault. Instead, he marked the system with warning buoys and left. He filed his report with the Adeptus Terra and included one note, uncharacteristically simple. We found perfection. We are not worthy. The Adeptus Mechanicus dispatched 3 exploratory fleets. None returned. The system remains marked on astropathic maps with a sigil known to few, the symbol of restraint. There are other tales, less noble perhaps, but no less legendary. Captain Tibor Helix once dived into the radioactive wreckage field of the Seraphine Massacre, seeking to recover the gene vaults of a lost Astra Militarum regiment. He succeeded. His ship, irradiated beyond salvation, was stripped and burned in low orbit. But the vaults were preserved. Today, 5 guard regiments bear Helix's sigil on their helmets, soldiers born from the blood he salvaged. Or the Lady Admiral Ysindra Vel, who found a gas giant in the unseen reach that sang. Literally sang. Radiation pulses emitted in a pattern that matched ancient Terran musical scales. She recorded the song, played it at every diplomatic function. Within 5 years, she had established 6 new trade routes, 2 xenos non-aggression pacts, and a cult following among void ship navigators who claimed the song calmed the warp. The planet no longer sings, but her recording still does. It is played before every warp jump on Vel-line ships, and of course the tale of rogue trader Arkandane, mad, brilliant, half-machine by the end. He charted the mirror stars whose orbits reflect not in light, but memory, where seeing a system is not the same as being there, where ships arrive but do not remember the journey. His last message, I have seen the Emperor's reflection. He is weeping. His ship, Mercy of Sight, is occasionally glimpsed by passing vessels. Its Vox is silent, its crew are dead, but the stars around it shimmer with impossible color. No one dares to approach, because exploration is not safe. It is not glorious. It is not even sane. It is the razor edge of imperial ambition, the terrible freedom granted to a few. These legends endure because they are warnings, that there are places humanity was not meant to tread, that the stars are not empty, that even the bravest must sometimes run, but also because they inspire, because there are still traders who look at an unmarked system, a storm-racked rift, a star that pulses wrong, and smile. They ready their crews, they seal their vaults, they light their engines, and they go. There is a truth every rogue trader learns, not from a catechism or creed, but from experience, raw, howling, soul-scouring experience. The void looks back, and sometimes it sees you. Every journey beyond the Emperor's light is an invitation, not just to chart new worlds or engage with the alien, but to peer into the galaxy's wound, to gaze into the warp, the abyss, the dark beyond stars. Most come seeking wealth, a few seek glory, but what they all find, sooner or later, is a reflection of themselves. Warp charts may call it uncharted space. The ecclesiarchy may denounce it as cursed. The Mechanicus will assign designations and broadcast warning chants. But out in the black, the void is alive. And it remembers. There are regions so steeped in psychic resonance they cannot be mapped. Others distort time itself. Some defy the laws of inertia and gravity. And then there are places where there is simply silence. No star, no signal, no light. These are not holes in the galaxy. They are scars. To the Imperium, these are navigational hazards. To the rogue trader, they are the test. The most infamous among these is the Void Dread. Not a sector, not a system, but a direction. A vast stretch of space across the Segmentum Pacificus that devours ships and leaves nothing in return. No debris, no beacon, just the steady disappearance of charted vessels. But once, only once, something came back. The Sable Arrow, a corvette of House Cartoma, emerged after 26 years lost. It arrived at Port Wrath silently, broadcasting no signal. The engines were cold, the crew compartments pressurized. No one responded to hails. Boarding parties found the ship intact, undamaged, and empty. No bodies, no logs. Only a series of scrawled phrases etched into the walls with a blade. It learns. We closed our eyes. It has our faces. The Mechanicus claimed the ship. Within days, the entire analysis team went missing. Port Wrath was locked down for 2 decades. No one speaks of what was found, because the abyss is not always metaphorical. There are whispers of dead suns, stars that pulse in reverse, drawing heat instead of radiating it. Rogue traders who draw near speak of strange dreams, of seeing their own ships burning from afar, of hearing their own voices from behind sealed bulkheads. One crew reported a second copy of their vessel drifting in formation with them, perfect in every detail, including a doppelganger of the Lord Captain himself, who smiled but did not speak. They destroyed it. Then each other. Only a single servitor survived to tell the tale. There are echo worlds too, planets that mirror a visitor's thoughts. The deeper one ventures, the more reality bends around their intentions. A trader searching for wealth might find veins of gold, only to be buried alive by the shifting crust. A seeker of power might find a ruined city with a throne still warm and forget to leave. Rogue trader. Helena Vire stumbled upon such a world. Her logs became erratic. Formality gave way to obsession. She began referring to the planet as he. She claimed it spoke to her in harmonics, that it understood her purpose better than the Emperor ever had. Her last entry. He has shown me what I am. He has made me whole. No further transmissions followed. Her dynasty declared her lost. But her ship, the Splendid Vice, continues to be sighted, orbiting a star that no longer burns. Its engines flare, its weapons powered, but no crew responds. It simply drifts, guarding a planet with no name. And then there are the time canyons. Rogue traders who chart certain unstable warp currents report systems where time itself breaks. Entire void ships locked in the moment of impact, frozen in glacial slowness. Ships that appear centuries after they were lost, crewed by descendants who believe the Imperium never fell. One such vessel, the Brass Pilgrim, arrived at Hydrafer in M42 after vanishing during the Horus heresy. Its markings bore the sigil of the Luna Wolves. Its captain swore fealty to Horus. The crew was executed, the ship destroyed. But before it was purged, the captain whispered to his interrogator, "We saw him, still burning, still laughing." The abyss plays tricks, but they are not hallucinations. Not all of them. Some are far worse. There are reports of speaking stars, celestial objects that emit coherent thought. Rogue traders who pass too close to these phenomena report shared dreams, compulsions, and even mass hallucination. Entire crews turning on their captains, mutinies with no known cause. One rogue trader scrawled her logs in blood for 4 standard months, repeating a single phrase. We sang the light, and it sang back. She survived. Her navigator did not. His third eye, sealed shut by Mechanicus' order, split open during interrogation. What emerged was not flesh. The Inquisition sealed the record. Even navigators, the most attuned to the warp, speak of things beyond comprehension. Voices that do not come from the Imperium, but from beyond even its twisted geometry. They call it the Dark Mirror, a realm of anti-mind, of inverted law. Few will describe what they've seen. Fewer still survive it. One, an old navigator known only as Tsarn, scribbled out his final vision in a fevered journal. We saw ourselves, not as we are, but as we will be, unchained, unnamed, beautiful, and utterly alone. These tales are not confined to the old days. Even now, in the age of Indomitus, the Great Rift has opened doors that should have remained sealed. Whole swathes of the galaxy are now fractured, filled with spectral systems and echoes of timelines that never happened. Ships from possible futures, crew with contradictory memories, warrant holders who remember different foundings. There are reports of wraith flotillas, entire rogue trader fleets composed of ships with no markings, crewed by shadows, appearing only during warp translation. They do not attack. They do not hail. They simply match speed, as if escorting. And when a trader exits the warp, they are gone. But sometimes, the names on the crew manifest don't match. Sometimes, the ship's name is spelled differently. One such incident involved the luminous mercy of House Sinteros. Upon return from a salvage mission, it bore the name Mercy Luminous, a minor inversion, easily dismissed, until the family realized the Lord Captain now spoke with a different accent, knew histories he should not, loved a wife he had never met. They executed him. His body did not rot. Sometimes the void doesn't kill you, it replaces you. And this is the deepest horror of all, that a rogue trader may not return as the same person, that something might follow them back, or wear their skin. Because the abyss doesn't merely stare back, it listens, it learns, and sometimes it answers. The warrant does not shield against this. No line of Imperial script can bind what is unbound. There are no prayers that reach the places a rogue trader may go. Only silence, only echo, and so they go on, not because they are brave, not because they are heroes, because they must, because the unknown is not a place, it is a calling, and every trader hears it, even when they shouldn't. Rogue traders live in a paradox, utterly free yet utterly dependent. They answer to no governor, no admiral, not even, in the most remote systems, to the High Lords of Terra themselves. But this freedom, this blessed autonomy signed by the Emperor's own hand, does not mean isolation. Quite the opposite, because to thrive in the void, one must be cunning in whom they trust, and ruthless in when to stop. A rogue trader, no matter how vast their fleet or ancient their dynasty, cannot stand alone. Their ships need repair, their expeditions need warriors, their archives need interpreters of long-dead dialects, and their relics, oh, their glorious, heretical, beautiful relics, require minds cold enough to study them and ambitious enough to do it in secret. Enter the allies of convenience. The Imperium is a fractious beast. Its body is war, its breath bureaucracy, its blood secrecy. But it has many heads, and not all of them bite the same way. Some a clever rogue trader can whisper to, some they can buy, and some they must keep close like a dagger under the ribcage. Let us speak first of the Adeptus Mechanicus. To most Imperials, these red-robed tech priests are unknowable, holy machinists who pray to bolts and bleed sacred oil. But to a rogue trader, the Mechanicus is both patron and parasite. Their minds are iron, yes, but they can be persuaded, if not with charm, then with data. Because to the cult Mechanicus, there is only one true God, the Omnissiah, and all knowledge is sacred scripture waiting to be found. Rogue traders find things, pre-imperial data vaults buried beneath moon crust, xenos power cores that thrum with energies no Lex Mechanic can identify, derelict vessels frozen in void ice from before the Age of Strife. For most citizens, these are forbidden, untouchable. For a rogue trader, their leverage, whispers of a recovered STC fragment are enough to bring a Forge world to heel. The promise of undiscovered archaeotech can get a Titan Legion to refit your plasma batteries personally. The Mechanicus has its rules, yes, but rules are elastic when curiosity burns hot enough. Take House Ulanox, a minor dynasty with an ancient but failing ship, the Voidmorn. For centuries, it barely limped from port to port, always 2 deck collapses from becoming a drifting tomb. Then they salvaged a strange orb, some kind of inert, alien cogitator from a race no record could identify. They offered it to the Mechanicus, not as a gift, as a rental. Within a year, the Voidmorn had a new reactor, experimental void shields, and a warp coil capable of single-thread phasing. The house is now extinct. No one knows why. But the Voidmorn still flies, under Mechanicus command. It was never about the relic. It was about control. And the Mechanicus are not the only ones who hunger. The Militarum Tempestus, Adeptus Astartes, even the Sisters of Battle, none of them trust rogue traders, but all of them use them. Because there are places Space Marines won't go, not because they fear, but because they're too visible. There are missions the Inquisition dare not authorize through official channels. There are crusades that need supply lines that don't exist. And in those moments, a trader becomes indispensable. You don't ask how the cargo arrived. You don't question where the maps came from. You nod, you load your guns, and you march. There are examples, if one knows where to look. Rogue trader Valen Dekir transported a kill team of Raven Guard into the dead moon of Indar Thes, smuggling them past Eldari webway sentries and heretic augurs. The mission was never recorded. The Raven Guard left no witnesses. But when Dekir landed at his next port, 3 Mechanicus repair clades were already waiting with parts he had neither ordered nor paid for. A favor repaid. At least, that's the optimistic version. These alliances are rarely written in ink. They are built on shared silence, mutually assured reputation, and secrets that cannot be allowed to rot. For example, the Inquisition rarely travels aboard a trader's ship openly. But they travel. When a rogue trader receives a cargo manifest sealed with no sigil, with crew instructions to not open hold 12, with a passenger who wears no badge and asks no questions, there is no need to ask. You already know. And you say nothing, because today the Inquisition might be a partner. Tomorrow they might be judge, jury, and executioner. Still, many traders are willing to take the risk, because what these allies offer is worth everything. Access, protection, immunity. A trader with Mechanicus ties might bypass Forge world scrutiny. One with connections to the ecclesiarchy might acquire missionaries who double as spies. One who's ferried an inquisitor, even just once, might find that the usual scans at naval checkpoints are forgotten. A nod here, a quiet salute there. Until one day the trader is no longer just an explorer. They become a pivot point, a subtle fulcrum around which entire covert operations spin. But there is always a cost. Always. Because these allies do not forget. They are not friends. An Astartes kill team will not hesitate to turn on you if your cargo contains demon relics. An Inquisitor will burn your dynasty to ash if they suspect you've withheld a truth. Amagos may overwrite your ship's machine spirit with a song of obedience if they think you've stolen their knowledge. There are stories, only half confirmed, of traders who made one deal too many. A captain who dared use a Mechanicus signal booster without permission. A house who sold a sliver of Necron Blackstone to a rad lord in disguise. A dynasty who tried to sell warp routes to xenos merchants. None of them are remembered kindly, but some are remembered powerfully, because in the Imperium, legend outlasts morality. And there are traders whose very presence causes tension across entire sectors. Take Silkera Thorn, whose fleet once escorted a Slanashai cult into the gravity wells of a dying star, so they could sing their prayers in ultimate ecstasy. She didn't condone them, didn't aid them, she simply allowed them to board, and watched. 3 Inquisitors condemned her. 2 Astartes chapters refused her entry to their territories, but the Mechanicus still builds her ships, because her maps, they're flawless, and there is Jorvan Emmet, whose cruiser once served as a mobile temple for a radical archdeacon exiled from Terra itself. It is said the sermons delivered aboard his ship were so powerful they burned out Servitor Vox's throats. That purity tests had to be redefined after listening. That saints appeared to his junior officers in dreams. Jorvan never preached himself, he just charged docking fees. That's the game. A rogue trader doesn't ally, they balance. The Mechanicus offers power, but always wants more than they give. The Astartes offer fury, but only to those they trust. The Inquisition offers protection, but it's the kind that burns your house down to keep it safe. And in between them all, the trader sails on, calm, smiling, watching, because to navigate these alliances is to understand one simple truth. In the void, every oath is conditional, every friendship is a ceasefire, every deal is a razor, and the trader who forgets this, even for a heartbeat, is already dead. The others, the ones who learn to ride the storm, to flirt with fire, to kiss the blade, they don't just survive, they thrive. Their names become whispers in inquisitorial halls. Their ships gain docking clearance from forge fortresses that trust no one. And their legacies? They're built not on loyalty, but on leverage. In the end, the rogue trader does not kneel to the Imperium. They trade with it. And that is far more dangerous. Every rogue trader learns early to look ahead, not just across the deck, not just into the warp's churning depths, but far ahead, into the tides of empires, into the rise and fall of threats too vast to name, into futures no astropath dare predict aloud. Because the stars are not still, they shift, and so too must those who live by their light. The galaxy is changing, and for those who sail its bleeding edge, that change is a warning. This is the era of the Indomitus Crusade, the age of the Great Rift, a time when the Astronomicon flickers like a candle under siege, where entire subsectors vanish into sudden silence and warp storms roar like gods reborn. What was once stable is now shattered. What was once legend is now reality. The galaxy has cracked open like a rotten fruit, and the rot runs deep. Some traders saw it coming. Others were caught in the blast. When the cicatrix maledictum tore the galaxy in two, when that malevolent wound split reality and drowned systems in warp fire, many rogue traders were stranded, cut off from their navies, their home ports, their dynasties. Those that survived had to adapt. Some turned pirate, preying on Imperial convoys as desperate as they were. Others sought new clients in darker quarters. Some, perhaps wisely, simply vanished. But a few evolved. For the survivors of this age are not the same breed as their forebears. They are not the noble heirs of silver-spired dynasties and ceremonial parades. They are warlords and scavengers, diplomats and assassins, explorers and tyrants rolled into one. and they wear their coats not with pride, but as armor. They are the new breed of rogue trader, and they are forged by fire. Take Imora Brahms, ship mistress of the Morning Star. When the rift cut off her trade routes, she didn't send for help. She sent a vox demand to the nearest Adeptus Arbites precinct, offer her fuel and shelter or lose their starport. When the Inquisition arrived to investigate her threats, she handed them the heads of 3 cult leaders she'd purged from within her own crew. She wasn't cooperating, she was demonstrating value. Today she sails not with a fleet, but a mobile court of mercenaries, missionaries, and psyker duelists. She flies under no flag but her own, and yet her name is honored in 8 imperial sectors. Why? Because she gets results. That is the new rule. In a galaxy coming apart, results are currency. A rogue trader who brings a forge world back into the fold, who supplies an Astra Militarum regiment with food and arms after their Munitorum link fails, who smuggles an entire population out from under a Tyrannid assault. They are needed, revered even, at least until their usefulness ends, and that line is growing thinner. Because the threats now do not care for banners or birthrights. Tyrannid tendrils pierce through reality faster than they can be charted. Necron tomb worlds are awakening in clusters once believed lifeless. Chaos cults spread like plagues, not in shadows but in parades, daring the ecclesiarchy to stop them. And then, there are the new empires. The Tau are not done expanding. They have learned, adapted, and in their expansion they've begun to appeal not just to desperation, but to logic. There are rumors of entire rogue trader crews defecting, not out of heresy, out of sheer survival. The Tau offer technology, stability, order, for a price. It is said one trader, Cassian Reeve, defected entirely, took his warrant and presented it to the ethereal caste as proof of human independence. In return, they gave him a fleet of hybrid vessels, Imperial in hull, Tau in core, weapons that fired silently, drones that whispered in data tone. The Imperium has since declared Reeve a traitor, but his colonies flourish. These fractures don't signal weakness, they signal evolution. The old rules no longer apply. The Emperor's light still shines, yes, but in many places, only as a distant echo. And rogue traders who once operated just beyond the Imperium's gaze now define its frontier. They are the new border. Not all are comfortable with this. Entire dynasties have collapsed under the pressure. House Venikar, once a prominent Chartist line, dissolved into civil war when half their heirs declared allegiance to Guilliman's reformation, and the other half refused to acknowledge the return of a Primarch. Others, like House Delvarin, have embraced the change. Delvarin vessels now carry Black Templars aboard, not as passengers, but as clients. They deliver crusade strike teams to worlds thought lost, and in return they take first pick of relics and salvage. Heretical? Perhaps. Effective? Undeniably. And the Mechanicus? They too have changed. No longer do they merely study what traders bring them. Now they commission new technologies, entire sub-explorator fleets. They whisper of STC fragments recovered from the Ghoul stars, of xenos, Adeptus hybrids, of vessels that navigate using quantum imprint rather than warp trail. Rogue traders are their favored tools. They wield them with surgical precision. The Inquisition, of course, remains watchful, but even they cannot afford to purge every useful heretic. In this new era, lines blur. When an entire sector risks falling to chaos cults, and the only ship fast enough to reach it flies under a disgraced warrant, forgiveness becomes policy. There's a story told on the station of Gorthan's Teeth, a pirate haven turned trading hub at the edge of the Veiled Quadrant. A trader, no name known, arrived during a warp storm. His ship was barely functioning. His crew were gaunt, maddened by psionic whispers. But in his hold, 5 tons of solid blackstone, pure, untainted. He offered it in exchange for repairs and silence. He got both. And now the station runs without a warp beacon. It shouldn't, but it does. Because in a darkening galaxy, such miracles are not questioned. They are purchased. Even the legends are shifting. Once a rogue trader became immortal through glory. Now survival is the truest myth. Ships like the Golden Vein, a cruiser rumored to have survived 11 consecutive warp translations without a Geller field, are chased not by bounty hunters, but by pilgrims, traders with smaller, weaker ships who follow in their wake like sharks, hoping to ride the storm. And yet, for all the chaos, for all the uncertainty, there is something else. Opportunity. The Imperium bleeds. But where there is blood, there is always someone to sell bandages. Trade routes lost for centuries are re-emerging through warp storm calmings. Xenos species once hidden now reach out for alliance. Factions within factions are willing to deal just to survive another year. A clever rogue trader can rise faster now than ever before. A ruthless one can become a god. But they must be faster than the dark, because the darkness isn't waiting. It is hunting. It wants the traders, especially. The ones who know how to slip past blockades, how to read ancient charts, how to find the cracks in the galaxy's shell, and the ones who survive it. They are no longer mere emissaries. They are frontiersmen of a dying empire, cartographers of collapse. They do not ask if the Imperium will endure. They ask, what comes after, and can we own it? This is the rogue trader's future, not dictated by terror, not handed down by decrees, but written in warp light and desperation, carved in the hulls of ships that will never dock again, spoken by captains who sleep in void hammocks and dream of stars that whisper names they haven't yet earned. A dark horizon rises, and the boldest among them steer straight into it, because at the end of every galaxy, there is a beginning. There is no last voyage, no final charted star, no edge of the galaxy so sharp it cuts ambition clean. For rogue traders, the path never ends, not because they are driven by glory or greed alone, but because the void itself will never stop whispering. It says, there is more. More worlds, more secrets, more dangers, more gods, more ghosts, more truths you were never meant to know. And to a rogue trader, each whisper is a promise. This is the burden and the reward. For while the Adeptus Astartes wage their holy wars, while the Administratum stacks its data slates to heaven, and the Ecclesiarchy sings the same sermons across 10,000 hives, the rogue trader does what no other soul in the Imperium dares. They move forward, forever. Not all survive, not all should, but those who do earn something no writ, no banner, no statue can truly encapsulate. Legend, and legends like the Void, are infinite. Ask a voidsman aboard the Star of Mira what his first voyage was, and he'll tell you about the world that bled sap instead of water, where trees moved in silence and seemed to think. He doesn't know the name, only that the trader made contact, traded with the local gods, and left with a seed the size of a heart that still pulses in the ship's vault. Ask a junior officer aboard the gallows route what made him sign on, and he'll speak of the final broadcast of Captain Selen Var, how she spoke not to her crew, not to the Imperium, but to the stars themselves, as her vessel descended into the gravity well of a collapsed black dwarf. If you ever wonder how far we'll go, know that I burned through the dark just to say I could. Ask any who serve aboard the Crown of Fractures, a vessel stitched together from the hulls of a dozen dead ships, each bearing a dynasty long since extinct, if they think their trader will survive the year. They'll shrug, smile. Doesn't matter, the ship will. Because that's the secret, the unspoken truth. The voyage matters more than the one who makes it. Warrants are passed on. Dynasties rise and fall like tides. Names change. Ships are reborn. But the hunger remains. The endless march into the unknown. It is the only constant a rogue trader can rely on. And in the darkest corners of the galaxy, that hunger becomes faith. There are some who say the Emperor watches the traders more closely than the rest, that he sees in them the shadow of his old dream, expansion, contact, illumination, not crusade, not compliance, exploration. They were once his spear points before the galaxy curdled into stagnation and bureaucracy. Perhaps that is why so many rogue traders die. Not for sin or failure, but because they dare to dream a little too loudly. But for every corpse drifting in the void, there is a voice, a signal, a name, a record. They ripple outward long after the trader is gone. The Mechanicus still studies the grav wells of the lost Halo, named for the trader who discovered it. Mayrant Halo, who charted 10 systems in 2 years and vanished on the 11th. The warp currents there still resist analysis, as if refusing to betray him. The Administratum archives still file tribute tithes from a system known only as Echo's Will, colonized by a rogue trader who refused to name herself, who founded a settlement in a dead sector and taught the people there to build their own government, free of imperial governors. Her warrant was revoked, but the system still sends its tithe, on time, in full, and on the farthest edge of Segmentum Obscurus, just beyond the slowly devouring warp storm called the Velvet Abyss. A ship named the Pale Nomad was last seen translating into real space, its silhouette impossible, shifting as if wrapped in a second skin. The message it broadcast before disappearing has since become legend among voidfarers. We go not to escape nor to conquer. We go because the stars do not yet know our names. That is what separates the rogue trader from every other servant of the Imperium. They do not obey fear. They do not worship ignorance. They are not content with the stars they know. They crave the ones still hidden. And so they build, not just empires, not just colonies. They build pathways, 1,000 warp lanes that did not exist before. They lay down light in darkness. They leave behind markers, fragments, artifacts, clues to futures not yet born. And even in failure, they create new myth. What is the Red Corridor if not the lingering echo of 10 lost traders whose deaths opened a stable warp route between 2 subsectors once thought irreparably cut off? What is Crimson Bastion if not the result of one trader's stubborn refusal to evacuate a crumbling orbital station, instead rearming it, refitting it, and turning it into a free port that now services Imperial Navy patrols, rogue pilgrims, and inquisitorial field agents alike? What is House Laurentis, if not proof that a dynasty can fall to treachery, rebuild in exile, and return stronger, operating not from a capital world but a fleet, ever moving, never trapped? These are not just footnotes in the annals of the Imperium. They are templates for what humanity could be. Not perfect, not holy, not even lawful, but alive, curious, daring. And in an era where the Imperium fights just to breathe, that spirit is priceless. There is a final tale, one not found in archives, but carved into a wall aboard a derelict port station. No one knows who wrote it. No trader claims the words, but every veteran recognizes the truth of them. You who follow after me, know this. I did not come for gold or power or piety. I came for wonder. I crossed the silent sea not to rule it, but to learn its name. And though I failed, though I was broken and my crew scattered, I found what I sought. I found horizon, and it was beautiful. In the end, that is the legacy. Not the warrant, not the fleet, not even the name. It is the horizon, always farther, always calling, and always waiting for someone brave or foolish enough to answer. The rogue trader answers every time.